Hollywood has got it half right and half wrong. Let's celebrate the half right. Welcome back. Thanks for stopping by Two Hands and a Foot. We won't tell you who's who. Before we get started, though, if you could go ahead and hit that like button, click that subscribe button if you don't already subscribe, click that notification bell so you don't ever miss an episode, and then please comment and share so word of this channel gets out and we can go big. Let's get going. So we've got some movies coming up that are going to be, I think, really excellent movies. The first one, which is coming up next week on the 21st of this month, is going to be Oppenheimer. I'm really looking forward to that. It's a history period piece movie. Obviously, it's about a true story of the man who invented, basically, the bomb that was dropped on Hiroshima and Nagasaki and totally changed warfare as a result. So I'm looking forward to that movie. September has got two good movies coming out, I think. At the beginning of the month, we got Equalizer 3. Denzel Washington is one of my favorite actors, and he does a great job in part 1 and part 2, and honestly, I wasn't looking for part 3, but this one seems to fit. Watching the previews in the movie theater is cool. I think it works. I'm looking forward to it. And then, as always, I don't think you could ever have enough, and you can argue over it all you want, and I don't think you can have enough Expendables movies. Sylvester Stallone has done a great job with that franchise. It's not just the old guys doing it. He's brought some new people in each and every time in order to keep it relevant, and I think it's a pretty cool deal that he's got going on here. But September 22nd, The Expendables 4 comes out in theaters. Now, having said that, last night I treated myself to a double feature. I went out to the movie theater for the first time in months, and I decided I was going to go watch some movies. And so I'll give you this. Here in a bit, you're going to have some spoilers. So here's your first spoiler alert as far as that goes. So I watched two movies last night. I enjoyed myself. I enjoyed the break from what's going on. And I enjoyed it very, very much so. So the first movie I'm going to talk about is Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1. It is the 7th film in the series. Part 2 comes out next year, but it's the 7th film in the series, and it does not disappoint one bit. For all of you Mission Impossible fans, this is a movie you need to see. For those of you who aren't Mission Impossible fans, this is a movie you need to see. It's got action. It's got drama. It's got the Mission Impossible comedy that you're used to seeing. And honestly, the cast is so good. I mean, obviously you have your Tom Cruise, you have your Simon Pegg, and you have your Ving Rhames. And those are your solid constants for Mission Impossible. And they do a great job, and I love those actors. They, I think, are the anchors of this franchise. As big as Tom Cruise is, I don't think it works without Simon Pegg and Ving Rhames. They do a great job at acting and portraying their characters in this film series. It's absolutely phenomenal the way that they act. But they brought on some extra people that you will notice from other big-name movies. So I'm not going to give it away. You can go look it up and find out who's in it. But the cast is fantastic. And so they work well together, and it makes for a great movie. And Tom Cruise hits movies on the nose. You have to admit, he hits movies on the nose. Last 2 years ago, he came out with, or last time he came out with Top Gun Maverick. He came back and did that. It's no BS. It's no filler. It's just good movies. It's entertaining. And that's what you want in a movie. You want to be entertained. Whether it's a happy entertainment, a sad entertainment, a serious entertainment, you want to be entertained. You want to have your mind transported somewhere else other than where you are for that hour and a half to 2.5 hours of time. And Tom Cruise does it. Regardless of what you think of Tom Cruise personally, whether it's his Scientology beliefs, the way he treated Katie Holmes, the whole issues with jumping on the couch thing on Oprah, Nicole Kidman, all that fun stuff. Couple of his flops with Eyes Wide Shut and Vanilla Sky, whatever you want to call that. Tom Cruise does a great job on movies, and he's not afraid to get that done now. I think it's pretty cool. So I'm going to warn you a couple of spoilers. It's not too big as far as spoilers are concerned, but I'm going to give you a couple things that I like about that movie. For those of you who have seen it, you'll understand. For those of you who haven't, it's not going to give away so much to where you're not going to get anything out of watching the actual movie. Number one, the use of smoke. If you've seen the previews, there's a preview going out that you see somewhat, where the green puffs of smoke comes out. That whole sequence right there, absolutely fantastic. I like it. I like it a lot. And so I like that. That's one of those things where it gets you going. And it happens twice in the movie, but the first time it happens is near the beginning of the movie, so it sets the tone rather well. Number two thing that I liked, there's a cliff jump scene. I'll just put it that way. There's a cliff jump scene, and I'll leave it at that. But that cliff jump scene was absolutely phenomenal. I had the side note. I had the privilege or benefit or whatever of I have Pluto TV, and on Pluto TV they had a commercial. One of their commercials is a insider's look, so to speak, on how they created this cliff jump. So if you don't have Pluto TV as an app, it's a free app to download. Go up and watch a TV show. And hopefully you can see on one of your commercials the inside look at making of this cliff jump for Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning. Absolutely phenomenal. So then when you see it in theaters, it absolutely does wonders for you. So that cliff jump scene, pretty cool in my eyes. And then one of my favorite things, even though the cliff jump scene was up there, the train sequence. Now I know there are a lot of trailers out there that have a little bit of that train sequence in the trailer, but the entire train sequence, from the start of the disaster, so to speak, to the end of the disaster, where he gets out of this one, and that is an amazing set of scenes, I should say. The way they did that, the way that it worked, the way that it was continuous, and you're like, you didn't think it could happen again, and it happened again, and then you were like, okay, they survived, and then they have another tragedy, so to speak, and it's pretty cool how they got that train sequence to work together, and it just fit well. A couple of surprises in there, a couple of expected things in there, but overall the train sequence was really, really cool. I enjoyed it. So with that, the whole movie itself, you get so sucked into it, and then near the end you go, oh yeah, this is only part one. And so you're missing literally half of the story. And so you're looking for a resolution at the end, and you're not getting one. And so I'm looking forward to next year's part two coming out. I think it's going to be a good job, another good movie. I'm going to look for it, and I'm gonna go and see it in theaters. Plus, as a benefit, I spent an extra $1.25, and I got a pretty good bucket for my popcorn out of it. Free refills, so there you go. All right. So now the second movie that I saw yesterday, a total opposite as far as mood goes. from Mission Impossible. The second movie I watched was Sound of Freedom. For those of you who don't know, look it up. Jim Caviezel plays the main character in this true story of this man named Timothy Ballard, who's a special agent, and he ended up rescuing children from sex trafficking. You probably heard snippets here and there, news bits, controversy, people slamming the video because it decries, child sex trafficking. As crazy as it is, people are mad that there's a movie that is against child sex trafficking. That's a whole other topic. But the fact is, and it's a true story, and the cool thing, I'll say this, is the reason for the movie, the actual reason for the movie actually does overpower the movie. And that's a good thing. The movie is there, yes, it tells a story, but the reason for the movie, which is to bring light or to shed light on the fact that we have an issue, a problem with child sex trafficking, it does that completely. It places the emphasis on the proper place, not on the actors themselves and how well they performed or the action inside of that movie itself. It places the emphasis on the topic at large and what was done and what can be done. I like it. It shines the light on a huge problem, and it's an issue that most think is too dark to discuss. Yes, child sex trafficking is something that's not comfortable to discuss. But it's a problem. It's a major problem. Not just in the United States, but all over the world. And to pretend that it doesn't exist because it doesn't affect you, I think is terribly naive of us. And this movie shines that light. One of the things in the movie was they're talking about it took 5 years for them to get this movie going. They made it 5 years ago, and to get it to be produced and put out on a major film, they had some issues because no one wanted to pick up the topic of child sex trafficking. So this movie, Sound of Freedom, does a great job because the reason for the movie overpowers the movie. It places the emphasis in the proper place, not the actors, but the topic itself. And it shines light on that topic because most of us think it's too dark. So go and watch it. I ask you to go and watch this video as soon as you can. On top of all of that, there is great acting in this movie on all sides. From Jim Caviezel to the other actors that are in the film who play the good guys and the bad guys, and the children actors too, having to deal with that heavy of a topic, but also being able to act out sometimes some serious issues, some serious things. They did a great job overall. Great production. It wasn't a cheap-looking film. It wasn't a knockoff or a B-listing type of a film. It wasn't. It was an absolutely great film and put together wise. Like I said, there was a message at the end from Jim Caviezel. Stay till the end to watch that message. And the reason why he did what he did in acting in that video and putting that video together and getting on board with that story. Again, it's a true story. And yes, they took some dramatic license in some of that. You have to. You have to in those circumstances in order to get the meaning across. And so if you go and Tim Ballard has been on podcasts, and one is linked in the description here for you. But Tim Ballard has been on podcasts, and he explains the stories, some of those stories, a little bit more in depth on how they happened and what they didn't catch in the movie. Because you can't get all of that in a 2 hour and 15-minute film. They did a great job in getting the highlights of that story, the main points of that story, together and put forth in it with a great product. So, right now, it has brought in about $55 million in the box office right now. And it's continuing to trend upward and gaining momentum. It's kind of a word-of-mouth type film that needs to be talked about, that needs to be spread, and people need to watch. And so one of the comments that was made from the guy who was making the film, he said that when they were told they're going to put it out on July 4th weekend, he was thinking it was going to go dead. But then the production company said, no, July 4th is about freedom. And this is what this film is about, freedom. So what the perfect time to do that was to put it out on the July 4th weekend. And so if you haven't seen it, go and see it. If you've seen it, go see it twice. Support the film. There is a website that you can go to if you watched the message by Jim Caviezel at the end of the film, if you're watching this and you've watched that movie, you know that there's that website at the end where you can pay it forward. You can give money into a pot for people who may not be able to afford to go out to the movies, and it'll pay for their tickets. They can go and they can get free tickets to watch this film. That's amazing. That is absolutely amazing. Because they're more desiring that people hear this story than being popular or doing something to promote themselves. So they're wanting to get the message out about this story and what it means and what the reason for it and the emphasis of this movie. It's more than just about the actors and making them look good or putting out a good movie, which they all did that, but the emphasis being on making more awareness of a really serious issue. And so they're wanting to make it available to as many people who want to see the movie. So if you can, and you don't want to watch it twice, go pay for someone else's ticket. I'll put the link in the description as well for that. So I hope that I didn't give away too many spoiler alerts for this movie, for these movies, I should say. I hope you get to go out and watch one or both. If you can only watch one of them, go watch Sound of Freedom. Not that I'm dogging Mission Impossible. But you'll be able to watch that on Redbox or Netflix or whatever here soon enough. Go watch Sound of Freedom. Support a production company, an idea, and a movement rather than just an entertainment endeavor. Because Mission Impossible is going to make their money. If you have to pick, go watch Sound of Freedom, and then if you can, pay it forward. So that's all I have for you today. As always, the links for everything that we've discussed here in the description. If you haven't already, go ahead and follow me on Twitter if you're on Twitter. And have yourself an excellent day, and I will catch you on the flip side.